Hello my beautiful friends. Today I wanted to share some of my favorite must-have items for elevating winter outfits. I personally feel like I can very quickly fall into the habit of just grabbing whatever is warm as soon as the temperatures are dropping. It always leaves me feeling like I am in a little bit of a style rut. I prefer to really enjoy getting dressed even though it's getting cooler, and I have some fantastic things that really help me love my outfits even if I have to focus on staying warm. Let's start with something I just can't shut up about, and that is belts. This one is especially noisy, and even though I wear them all year round, I especially love them for winter because I wear them on top of my coat. If they have a belt, I just swap it out and I put on this instead, especially if it has belt loops. It's really easy because the belt will still stay. You won't have to like put it somewhere once you take it off. But I wear this over my very long puffer coat as well. I wear it over my wool blazers, and the wider belt is great for outerwear because it just has a little bit more power to pull it together. It tends to look a little bit more balanced putting wider belts over outerwear. But I also wanted to show this very thin belt that I bought from Arket. It has that still like a little bit of a detail. I think this works great over blazers, but if you are inside, I actually think that works really great if you're wearing like a heavier knit cardigan as well, which I love to do. I love these quite heavy long cardigans. Belt them, I'm adding a little bit to a large outer layer. So I don't necessarily think you need a ton of belts. I definitely wear the same ones on repeat, but it does feel like I get more use out of my coat when I pair it with a different belt. Moving on to the next, and that is going to be a coat. I have definitely had times where I've had coats that I love but they're not warm enough, so I often end up feeling like I have to choose between comfort and style. And once I really started to prioritize getting a coat that I love the look of and it was still warm enough, I started to like my outfits a lot more. I will say I have several, and I think this depends on how cold it gets. I would probably include both a wool coat and if it gets quite cold, also a puffer jacket. And that is simply to have options because at least here in Norway it does get too cool for simply a wool jacket at some point. Really notice how much I wear my puffer jackets. I have this cropped one from Zara. I think I've even made a styling video on this. And then I also last year bought a really long version from Arket. It's also in beige. I just feel like really leaning into the style can help make it look more intentional. So that would be my tip. Really prioritize getting one really great coat that will suit the coldest weather that you typically have to walk out into, and just make sure it fits most of your outfits, it's warm enough, and something you really love the look of. The third thing would be to get a really good scarf, and for two reasons. They really help keep you warm, but the second thing is a scarf you can wear on repeat. At some points I have worn the same scarf throughout the entire winter season. I love getting a print because I don't have a ton of printed coats, so that just adds a lot of interest. And I will say I had a lot that were quite cheap. They were not in a good material, and they just within a few weeks of wearing them, because I do wear my scarves quite intensely, it just started to not look as great anymore, and it kind of rather dragged down the outfit rather than lifting it. I don't think they have to be like designer or anything. I would rather focus on having a scarf that has a really good material. This is cashmere and this is wool, and they're just really nice and warm. My scarves are invaluable in making me feel more stylish while also helping me feel more warm, whether it's my inside outfits or my outside outfits. They lift everything, they make everything better. So just think through what color or print, or if it's plain, what would work the best in your wardrobe. The next thing here that I'm going to talk about, I have talked about these before and they have become very popular, so I am sure many of you will have seen these, and they are the very unappealing looking fleece lined tights. I'm trying not to be too dramatic, but honestly I feel like I don't want to get dressed for a winter ever again without having some of these, because I do love to wear skirts and dresses for winter. You can see on the inside they are so fuzzy. I mean, you can see like so cozy. I never ever wear these on their own because even though they're like beige, they're never going to fool anyone into thinking this is my actual skin, obviously, because when you're bending your legs it's creating like wrinkles and everything, so I never wear them on their own anyways. Always with a pair of printed or regular tights. If I don't want to bother putting on another pair of tights on top of that, I wear these, and as you can see, these have kind of like the effect of having a thinner pair of tights on. If you haven't seen these yet, check them out, they are so worth it. And I've actually liked wearing those under my faux leather leggings because they can get quite cold, the ones I have that are not lined. But the final thing I want to mention is a thermal underwear. I feel like I go on about this all the time, but I think partly it is because a lot of people mention it, but then they don't actually tell you that if you get thermal underwear and it's not wool, what are you even doing? If you put wool close to the skin, it's going to be much warmer. I understand some have allergies to wool. I have that to a certain extent as well, so I really like to get merino wool, which is much softer against the skin. So don't just get any wool. There is a huge difference in what kind you get and the quality. So trust me when I say, if you've tried thermal underwear and you didn't really get or understand why people kept going on about it, make sure it's actually wool before you kind of discard it. Because to me, thermal underwear is the reason I get so much use out of all my clothing throughout winter as well. Otherwise, I would have to switch a lot of it out. So I can highly recommend looking into that if you live somewhere actually quite cold. If you don't need it, then I am very jealous, and keep doing whatever you're doing. You're fine and lucky. So those are some of my absolute favorite go-to items that I wear for winter. These pieces just really help me stay warm and comfortable throughout winter while still really loving my outfits and feeling like I'm dressed up and pulled together and I still care about my outfits. It's not all just bundling up in a sleeping bag, even though that's pretty much what I feel like doing once it gets really cold. So if you have any more tips, let me know. I'm sure we would all be very grateful. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you very shortly in the next video. Bye!